I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, and drag back home and drink my troubles away. Well, it's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me and people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Yeah, it is. Living in the new world with an old soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do, 'cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end, 'cause a rich man north of Richmond. I wish politicians would look out for miners, not just miners on an island somewhere. Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the Democrats telling you to vote Biden. How about that? But God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, no more taxes to the Ukraine. How about that? Does that fix it for you, liberals? Do you like that a little better? I'll really fix it for you. Give me a little bit. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, 'cause all this damn country does is keep kicking them down. Lord, it's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, for people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Yeah, it is. Living in the new world with an old soul. Rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what they think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do, 'cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end, 'cause a rich man north of Richmond. Selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay. Woo. Hey, thanks, Leo. I appreciate it. You could do it in a some power chords too. Overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to. It's a little bit, the range is a little bit, I want to go high, but then it's too high. Let's see. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me And people like you wish I could just wake up and it not be true. But it is. But it is living in the new world with an old soul. East Richmond, North of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do, 'cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end, 'cause the rich man, North of Richmond. Try this part straight. Well, I wish politicians would look out for minors, not just minors on an island somewhere. Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. But God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bag of fudge rounds. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, 'cause all this damn country does is keep kicking them down. Lord, it's a damn shame what this world's gotten to for people like me and people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Yeah, it is living in the new world with an old soul. East Richmond, North of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do, 'cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end, 'cause the rich man, North of Richmond. I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay. I think you can make a decent less My Chemical Romance, more Rag and Bone. Sorry, Leo. I was raised in the millennial pop punk generation. That's what we got. My Chemical Romance really, looking back on that era, really kind of nailed it. They did. They did it. They were the queen of the early 2000s. But I appreciate all the criticism. Constructive. I thought it was pretty good for my second and third time ever playing that song. It's okay. Oh, what should we get into today? I've got some different ideas. Let's see if I can pull it up. I know the first thing I wanted to get down was the, let's see. Oh, there I am. Adam, there we go. Hey, there's the clip. Already pulled. I don't see the other one though. We can go back and find it. Let's figure out a way to share this now. No, that's not it. Let's add capture. Capture browser. No, I don't like that. What is this one? I could try that. Let's see if that works. I move it up. Singing your teacher voice. What would that be, Leo? I don't know exactly what that means, man. This is my teacher voice. Okay, well, we're getting there. Oh, I've been meaning to do one of these for a while, but I was in a really good streak, and then YouTube, come on, OBS, get with the picture. Let's see if this works. Does this work if I do this? No? How about down here? Ha! It worked. Let's see if I get sound from it. I bet I will. Let's see if I can put myself in the bottom. Maybe right there. Ah, ha. There we go. Good enough. I don't even know if I want myself there. But yeah, I'm amazed that Tucker just said this in this Adam Carolla interview. He just said it. And I actually don't think I want to listen to this one. I think I want to go through the longer version here. Number pretty close to it. Need some headphones to hear this. Hey, Hydra Yeg, aka Jason. What's up, dude? Welcome to the chat. You'll fit right in here with Leo. He's giving me a hard time this evening. Said I seem like Kanye without auto-tune. Just what you want to hear when you hit record. Make yourself vulnerable on the internet. Alright. Let's see if this makes noise. Does it make noise?
Two,
oh, it does. It makes a lot of noise. Alright. I think he plays... I don't know if they'll show the clip. Mess around.
Trump as an example of why we need them.
It's, yeah, I mean, I've heard that.
I think it was before that.
Fauci.
And it didn't move the needle in terms of the election.
And FBI rigged this election by suppressing that. And just stop there. By telling the social media companies not to
reward your serial killer.
And then say, actually, our country is run by a shadowy intel agency no one elected and no one has oversight over. I mean, it's not a democratic republic if the CIA can punish you as an elected president for doing things that they don't like. They're your employees. Speaking of the housekeeper taking over the house, they're like your...
Here we go. Well, let's go in right after the commercial. Let's just get the full context here.
Let's welcome the Inventor series.
We'll go through this commercial they did.
That is so...
Where Schumer talked to you,
yes,
Tucker.
Really, Martin? Okay, I'm impressed.
I wanted to talk to you. So I always think about this clip, and I'm sure you've seen it too, where Schumer was on with Rachel Maddow in January 2017 and basically said, why is Trump agitating CIA, FBI, these agencies? Why is he agitating? And then he says the quiet part out loud. They will destroy you, which I think turned out to be a lot of what we saw. But at the very end, it's a little part I missed, and I think we should give it a quick listen.
But he's taking these shots, this antagonism, this taunting to the intelligence community.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do.
For you guys don't know, and so this doesn't get pegged by the YT, that's Chuck Schumer, Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer, talking to Rachel Maddow about how Donald Trump made the CIA mad, and they have 6 ways from Sunday of getting back at you, is what he said.
What do you think the intelligence community would do if they were motivated?
I don't know, but from what I am told, they are very upset with how he has treated them and talked about them. And we need the intelligence community. We don't know what's going on. Look at the Russian hacking. Without the intelligence community, we wouldn't have discovered it.
Then he goes on to cite something that didn't happen, that the intelligence community cooked up to take down Trump, as an example of why we need them.
Yeah, I've heard that clip 1,000 times. Every time it renders me speechless. That's the end of democracy. And I don't know how you can, in the same sentence, say, I'm for democracy, and then say, actually, our country is run by a shadowy intel agency no one elected and no one has oversight over. I mean, it's not a democratic republic if the CIA can punish you as an elected president for doing things that they don't like. They're your employees. Speaking of the housekeeper taking over the house, they're like your housekeeper. Shut up and make the bed. Like the point of the CIA, as originally conceived, was to inform the president of...
I did find it interesting how earlier in this interview they were talking about how even the housekeeper will come back on you. So it becomes a weird mixed metaphor. I mean, I agree. I like to think of the CIA as the housekeeper. But,
of what's going on around the world so he can make better foreign policy decisions. So the intel gathering apparatus of the U.S. president, they work for him. They have no constitutional legitimacy outside of him. Our system's super simple. The people who are elected by the public have all the power. They have employees to whom they delegate that power to get things done. But those employees have no independent power at all and no independent legitimacy. The CIA is a totally illegitimate criminal organization unless it is following precisely the orders of the elected president. Democrat or Republican, doesn't matter. So he's describing a crime. The people committing that crime in CIA should be in prison for long terms. That's the great threat to democracy right there. And the fact that no one on that set could even see that tells you how deeply corrupted they are. That's terrifying. And it's true, I happen to know. And I could bore you for hours, again, since I spent my life there and know a lot of people who work there. But the bottom line is there's no oversight at all. They were able to participate in the murder of a U.S. president and then hide that fact for 60 years by keeping those documents classified, which they still are. It's unbelievable. And it's happening in front of all of us, and nobody seems to care. But, you know, as the country declines and the democratic institutions weaken, and you wonder, how did this happen? Well, that's how it happened, right there.
What do you think?
So here's the big one. This is a big one. I'm kind of amazed he said this. I remember. Oh, it's slipping my mind right now. What was his name? He wrote. I think he wrote like Class Matters. I can't remember his name, but in 2020 he said the same thing, that if Bernie got close to winning, they'd kill him. They'd take him out. So now Tucker's saying the same thing here about Trump.
The future holds. Is it?
I don't know.
I mean, are they going to let Trump be president?
No, of course. I mean, look, if, they protested him, they called him names. He won anyway. They impeached him twice on ridiculous pretenses. They fabricated a lot about what happened on January 6th in order to impeach him again. It didn't work. He came back. Then they indicted him. It didn't work. He became more popular. Then they indicted him 3 more times. And every single time his popularity rose. So if you begin with criticism, then you go to protest, then you go to impeachment, now you go to indictment, and none of them work, what's next? I mean, graph it out, man. We're speeding toward assassination, obviously, and no one will say that, but I don't know how you can't reach that conclusion. You know what I mean? Like, they have decided, permanent Washington, both parties have decided that there's something about Trump that's so threatening to them, they just can't have him. I mean, they're putting him on trial in March of next year in the J6 case, which basically consists of trying to send him to prison for the rest of his life for complaining about the last election. That's literally what it is. Again, if this were happening in Moldova, the State Department would issue an all-hands-on-deck order to let the world know this is not a legitimate government. And yet our government is doing it. It's like it's hard to overstate how bad this is. And I don't know where it's going, but there's a collision that's clearly imminent. And by the way, the president is senile in a way that's impossible to deny. Biden's not running the government, so like. I
said that when Biden got elected, that if Biden gets elected, before he got elected, I said, if Biden gets elected, the CIA will be running the country. And that's exactly what's happening now. That's exactly what's happening now. Newland, Blinken, Sullivan, State Department, CIA, running the country.
I don't know, man. I've never been this worried about anything as I am about where this is going.
Well, I think if we sort of break it down into sort of steps or chapters, we have this and then a possible solution at the end of the book. So chapter 1, the government is doing what they've been doing, and we've not been aware of it for most of its existence. We just sort of went along with it, But the government is big and it's deep and it's very.
All right, so that was the money. There were two money quotes in this. Let's see if we can find the other one real quick. I'm going to skip around. I don't remember exactly where it was, and I'll be honest with you guys. When I want to do a live stream, I start thinking, hey, I want to do that. I want to do a live stream. And then I start thinking, oh, man, I better pull up all the clips and get them all ready and find exactly where they should be. And that sounds like a lot of work, and I don't want to do it. And then I think my second thought's like, oh man, those settings aren't perfect in OBS. You're going to have to twiddle with it to get it to work. And these like mental cognitive, like, oh man, I got to get on Canva and make a thumbnail, and it just adds up. And it just clicks in my head like, nah, maybe tomorrow. So I'm trying hard to get back in the groove of just hitting live and figuring it out on the fly, because that's what's fun to me. You can go back, cut it up or whatever, But the idea of a live stream that's fun is if you like the personality of the person you're watching, you just like to kick it with them a little bit. And it don't all have to be perfect. We can figure it out as we go. But it's more important that I show up on here and add to this thing. So let's try to find this other clip here. I think it was around 43.
Only reliable ally in the world. We only have one real ally, and that's Western Europe.
Laptop from
looting the country. It's like financial crimes are not really punished. What's punished? Well, questioning the last election, walking through Nancy Pelosi.
I think it was right.
They really get inside your head. I'm sure of mine. Who the hell? You don't know. Believe you can show his history. But I can tell you, having lived it for many years, it's true. The intel agencies have a big effect on what is. Know that is true. In response, we said
was something that's
very insightful observation about Trump. The more anxious interview he did in 2000, but I like Trump, and he's a warm person, which I like.
Yeah, it's a subject that's
German economy was. We're going to have real poverty here, like Great Depression. The low IQ wing. I just don't have strong emotions about Russia. So I look at this and I see.
Okay.
I think they can say or do anything to hang on to power.
Their view of Russia is very, and I can say this as someone who was, against the Soviets when it mattered, when they existed. But I'm maybe the only person in the United States who doesn't really have very strong feelings about Russia. I'm not that interested in Russia. I don't see it as our enemy or ally. I just don't have strong emotions about Russia. So I look at this and I see true hysteria. Like they've convinced themselves that our global enemy is Russia. And I really think they mean that. And certainly the Republicans mean it. The Nikki Haley, Mike Pence, the low IQ wing of the Republican Party, which is most.
See, that's scary because he thinks the Republicans mean it. But it seems overwhelmingly to me like the Democrats are lost in some psychological hell of hatred for Russia. But if it's both sides, God help us.
To the Republican Party is low IQ at the leadership level. They all think that and they mean it. And someone needs to slap them awake. You're leading this country to its destruction. We've already lost control of the world. The American empire's in free fall right now. And we're going to lose the US dollar. And when that happens, we're going to have real poverty here, like Great Depression level poverty. And it comes from this war. And I don't understand why no one else can see this, but it's super obvious once you leave. Spend a week in Europe and talk to smart people on both sides. It doesn't matter what their politics are, and ask them, what effect do you think the war in Ukraine has had on American leadership in Europe? Dude. And by the way, Western Europe is our only reliable ally in the world. We only have one real ally. And that's Western Europe. And Western Europe is being destroyed by this. The German economy was crushed when the Biden administration blew up Nord Stream. I know nobody cares. But if you think long term about this, they're really kicking the legs out from under this country in a way that is not possible to repair, at least in the short term.
Well, speaking of Russia.
Well, where's it at? Come on, man.
They're calling you.
I'm going to find it.
We're 3 years from really discredited as a means of prophylactic protection. An educated American woman is totally
only
totality of our racial conversation, making up a fake cryptocurrency. Right. And if you have 54, so I forget, liberal and cause the murders.
One last quick. That can
good way. Success is terrible for men as you're there. And a couple of them I've talked to, and no one ever says a good word to you. Mine, who works at a big TV channel, and he's at the first couple that he won't go.
Men.
So to hear it, I'm sure most people won't believe it, but I can tell you, having lived it for many years, it's true. The intel agencies have a big effect on what a lot of just a mouthpiece common. And so, they're reading government propaganda, allows them to get up in the morning and fake. That is security stuff. Email national security. It would just make me mad. I mean, even if I don't agree with the lies, okay, but even if I did agree with the lie, it witnessed his own people. There's no evidence it was, and yet every national security, and it was human life of industrial sabotage in history. My life in this business are formed easily. It's not that hard.
Maybe it was before. I don't know.
It's in the democratic institutions on ridiculous pretenses. But any more times? And then, I mean, you know what I mean? Like last election. That's literally what it is. Again, if this were happening in Moldova,
we heard that part already.
And these lies are so big and so obvious and so stupid that it's going to be very clear to the majority of voters before the election that the Biden administration has no idea what it's doing, that Joe Biden is not running the government, and that it's not working at all. And I think by that point, we're going to have a real economic contraction. I think we're going to be in the teeth of a very tough recession, and that makes everything much more intense. And so if your goal is to maintain power, and if you think once you relinquish power, the problem with criminalizing politics is the people who do it imagine or know that it will be done to them. So once you start indicting your political opponents, you know that you have to win or else they're going to indict you if they win.
That's
right?
True.
Right.
That's true. So they can't lose. They will do anything to win. So how do they do that? They're not going to do COVID again. I know everyone on the right's afraid they're going to do COVID and mask mandate. They're not going to do that. They can't do that. If they've already been exposed, that won't work. There's going to be no. What are they going to do? They're going to go to war with Russia. Is what they're going to do.
There it is. That's the other big takeaway from this interview. He's worried about Trump's assassination. He's worried about a hot war with Russia. Why? I wanted to cover this because I think it's important to put it out there and talk about it. It makes me nervous to talk about it on this platform because I know what this platform will do with this information. But it's still important. It's important to as many of us to tell people this as possible, because then if it starts to happen, no one will believe it. There'll be more pushback.
There will be a hot war between the United States and Russia in the next year. And
really?
Yes, of course. They want it anyway. I don't think we'll win it, but that's a separate analysis. But I think it's a political matter. They need to declare war footing in order to assume war powers in order to win. I believe that. And I think the evidence suggests that's true. So if you're worried about our politics getting like even more vicious than it already is, and people being hurt in our politics, which is entirely possible, you should be worried about the prospect of an open war. We're already at war with Russia, of course. We're funding their enemies. So we're fighting Russia. But I mean, an open battle with Russia where we say we're at war with Russia. I think that could easily happen. I think we could Tonkin Gulf our way into it, where all of a sudden missiles land in Poland. The Russians did it. Our NATO ally has been attacked. We're going to war. I could see that happening very easily. So if you're worried about that, you need to put as much pressure as you possibly can on the Republican-held Senate to force a peace, which can be done. The United States could force a peace in Ukraine tonight. We're funding one side. There is no Ukrainian army outside of NATO. If NATO withdrew its support for Ukraine, Ukraine would crumble in a day. So we are the only power in the world that can bring both sides to the table to force a peace, which will be unsatisfactory as all forced peaces are. Like each side will give more than it wants, but that's the only option. Otherwise, I would bet my house on it. We are going to war with Russia. And of course, the stakes are everything, our life on the planet. I mean, these are the two biggest nuclear arsenals in the world facing off against each other. So like, this is insane. They're insane. These are people who think men can become women, who believe that.
Yeah, he goes off on that. I'll let him finish your thought, Tucker. But you gotta bring the culture issue into it. Hey, Jamie, by the way, welcome. Glad to see you here. I didn't check if Caleb was streaming before I got on here. I think I looked I didn't see him, so I try not to do it when he's doing it, but at this point he does it like every night. So, good to have you.
Face masks save you from COVID? I mean, these are not rational people. Would they go to war with Russia? Of course they would. Again, they want to anyway. And I don't know why Republicans don't get this at all, but they don't seem to get it. And meanwhile, Republican leaders, and Mitch McConnell's senile too, so I don't even blame him, but all this stupid Republican senators and McCarthy in the House, I mean, it's pathetic. These people are all on board with the war against Russia. Why?
Well, I think it may even be scarier because you say they believe masks work or they believe men can become women and so on and so forth. I don't know that they believe that. I think it may be worse. I think they can say or do anything to hang on to power.
Their view of Russia is very, and I can say this as someone who was, against the Soviets when it mattered.
Okay, we listen to this part. All right. No, Tucker is not a communist. What's the word? Breaking news. There we go. So I could not think of that to save my life. Well, let me see if I hit this while I come. Look, there's two of me. A big version and a little version. Hello, little Tyler. Big Tyler. I don't know how these people get these set up so perfectly to where they just work. I don't know. I think you can buy little buttons that you press when you can set scenes like monitor 2 with so I could do this with this this just without having to click each one. Oh, where am I now? There's so many things going on. Like iPhone. That's the one I want, I think. Yeah. There we go. I'm back. Anyway, I just wanted to publicize that because I kind of feel in my gut that it's true. I mean, as long as the Victoria Nuland types have the old I'm going to try holding this for a second and see what it sounds like. Hang on. I'm going to switch it to near. As long as the Victoria Nuland types have power. As Gonzalo Lira said in an old stream, it's like a Jewish payback bloodlust for Russian blood, I guess. I cannot see how they will just be like, we lost in Ukraine. We're going to pull out like Afghanistan. We lost. We did the best we could. Thanks for the $200 billion. Russia, we wish you well. I can't ever see that happening. Not in an election year. No way. No way. Some different tones on this. This is near natural. I want to hear that for a second. Peter Piper picked, what did he pick? Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Near natural. Near dark. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. I don't think you pick a peck, but I can't remember what else he picked. Near bright. Peter Parker played a plan of piano. Yep, that's what he did. And then you can do far. Let's do far. So far is supposed to be like right here, I think. This is the one I like to leave on. So I can just do what I want and it works. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. I'm going to say a wordy dird if I keep this up. Far natural. Far dark. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Far dark and far bright. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Far bright. So I'll go with far natural. And then there's the manual mode, but I never know what gain to put. You can put a limiter. light compression, medium compression, heavy compression. I just leave it on auto because it makes me feel like I'm getting the best without having to change anything. So there's that. Let's put this back. And let's get some more news in. What else did I label the stream? I did want to talk about, let me get this. It's just a short video, but I did want to show it. Let's find it. History. All right. I want to share this on here just to see what y'all think. This guy, Dr. Shiva. Here we go.
18-year-old kid when I came to MIT. Mondale was running against Reagan. And there's this other guy the media gave a lot of attention to, Jesse Jackson, bringing everyone together against the quote-unquote establishment. He was the left, not so obvious establishment. On the floor of the Democratic Convention, he tells everyone we have to vote for the lesser of two evils, which was Mondale. This guy just bamboozled us. And most people say, I guess Jesse had to do that. As a student of system science, I went deeper into that. And you realize that they have this probably in some war room strategy. They go, holy shit. We have a vacuum over here, and that is why Trump was very, very important to the establishment. They had burned through the Tea Party, burned through Ron Paul, and they needed a right wing. So Trump was created to fill this gap. On the left, they already had Bernie Sanders, AOC, and Trump's role was a very specific one. Act like he's fighting against the establishment. So the white working class wouldn't do anything for 4 years. They would allow a quote-unquote pandemic to take place. They would allow a lockdown to take place. TruthFreedomHealth.com, become a warrior scholar. Go to ShivaForPresident.com and get a bumper sticker.
So, I don't want to go to Shiva for President. I don't want to get a bumper sticker. But I did find that an interesting argument. That Trump might be a plant. That's why I went for the thumbnail tonight, because I thought, to my brain that's not 100 billion% cynical, it's pretty obvious that Trump is the the lesser of two evils at this point, unless you approve of 500,000 dead Ukrainians, unless you think that's a good idea, or poking the country in the you-know-what with the most nuclear weapons in the world just to see if they'll do it. Will you do it? Hey, Putin, will you do it? Are you serious? Because we got some people that want to try you and just see, you know? There's a certain feeling you get. I mean, I live in the middle of the country, but when I went to D.C., when you're in D.C., I turned to my wife and I said, if the Russians nuke us, we're going to turn to glass, honey. So that would be one of the places. I think they may leave Salem, Missouri alone. I don't know. I'm a ways from Fort Leonard Wood. I think I'll be okay. But I don't know. Is it that bad? Is it really? Is it really that? Is Trump a plant? I feel too cynical to think so, and I feel too naive not to think so. I mean, if Bernie's controlled opposition, it would not make sense as the CIA to not have some sort of controlled opposition in the right wing. And if you had somebody that you knew was a TV star and great at manipulating an audience, Trump would be he'd be a good get. The things that make me think not is because like he did certain things that I don't know why he would do as an actor, unless it's all some sort of limited hangout operation, like being like, we're in Syria for the oil. I don't know why you'd say that. That's horrible PR for the United States. I mean, anybody halfway interested in politics knows that's true. But I don't know why you'd say it. What else did he say? What did he tell Bill O'Reilly? We got some killers too, Bill. You support Putin? Putin's a killer. We got our own killers, Bill. That's a horrible Trump. I sound like I'm like some villain in a childhood film. We got our own killers. We got our own killers, Bill. Why would you say that? I mean, it's not that revealing. It's not like Trump went Julian Assange on him. He let Julian keep rotting in jail. The best argument for why Trump let him do that was Robert Barnes. Robert Barnes says that Mitch McConnell pretty much had Trump over a barrel somehow, like legally, to where he would definitely be impeached again if he pardoned Assange and Snowden. And then he couldn't run for president again. But I guess, I don't know. It depends. I can't see the future. I can't see. Everyone wants to know what would Trump do in a second term. I heard some general on George Galloway today say that he has to do different things. If he doesn't, he's gonna rot in jail or die. Yeah, I hear you, Jamie. I think Jamie's got it. Yeah, everyone knew that. It's all one big act. I mean, democracy is staged. You just gonna stage one party? Come on. I guess I have trouble getting that cynical, because if that is true, then paying attention to almost any of it or harboring any hope in any of these people is a giant waste of time. Like, what did he say in this? Like, Trump was I don't like shorts because I can't switch around. Here. It's coming up. Can I put it up on top of me?
And most people say, I guess Jesse had to do that. As a student of system science, I went deeper into that. And you realize that they have this probably in some war room strategy. They go, holy shit. We have a vacuum over here, and that is why Trump was very, very important to the establishment. They had burned through the Tea Party, burned through Ron Paul, and they needed a right wing. So Trump was created to fill this gap. On the left, they already had Bernie Sanders, AOC, and Trump's role was a very specific one. Act like he's fighting against the establishment. So the white working class wouldn't do anything for 4 years. They would allow a quote-unquote pandemic to take place. They would allow a lockdown to take place. Truthfreedomhealth.com, become a warrior scholar. Go to Shiva.
Okay. They would allow the white working Trump, just like Bernie or Obama, puts the left working class to sleep and gives this false hope, even though you can now read the DNC fraud lawsuit transcript proving where the Democratic Party lawyer of the DNC literally says we can pick the candidate in a smoky back room because we're a private corporation and there's nothing you can do about it. Just like those people put the left to sleep whatever the anti-establishment left. Although obvious, if this is true, then the anti-establishment left, for most intents and purposes, is a honey trap as well. Gotcha. And then Trump and Vivek are the honey trap on the right. Something deep in here tells me I'm onto something. I don't know if I'm 100% correct. It'd be nice, Jamie. I like to see 100%. That feels nice. But little hopeful Tyler deep inside, I don't know. You know, it's funny. When I did the podcast with Dave, we were joking about the CIA hiding in the bushes at the crucifixion of Christ. And then I was like, oh, Dave, don't tell me Jesus was a CIA plan as well. I got to have something to believe in. I mean, there's a line. There's a line we all have to draw in our head. But it appears the entire purpose of the Central Intelligence Agency, Project Mockingbird, probably the internet, is just to fuzz the line to where the American working class has no idea what is actually happening about anything. That's where I would want them if I was in charge. But do I give them too much credit? Are they stupider than this? I don't know. It's hard to tell. You just gotta turn on the stream in your children's playroom with toys all over the floor and Kirby back there staring at me and try to figure it out. Figure it out with you guys. Or at least have some fun on a Friday night staring into the ether, making bad covers of Oliver Anthony songs. So, I do kind of, I'm going to try to find this other one. And we'll watch it for a second because it was like the most hopeful take I've heard on why Trump will have to change in the second term. You know what? Actually, first, I want to hear... have you guys ever listened to... let's watch this guy. Bo of the Fifth Column. If this gets tagged, this guy will definitely take away whatever help he would give me on this video because I really feel like this guy is CIA or something. I don't know what is going on with this guy, but his whole shtick, let's put him up here. His whole shtick is like, hey there, YouTubers. I'm just a good old boy down here in Alabama that loves Joe Biden. I love him. I think Putin's just a madman. He's just a madman. He's absolutely insane. And I have 800,000 subscribers. And I'm telling you that all the country bumpkins I'm surrounded by are complete, total racist idiots. Okay? You should believe whatever MSNBC tells you. Because they're true. And that's how it is. Let's see if he says this. So this is him interpreting Richmond, north of Richmond. I want to hear.
Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So today we are going to talk about somebody that I haven't talked about, but y'all been asking me
It's
to.
okay, Jamie. I used to listen to Kyle.
I don't know, 10, 12 days.
Before
I
the
probably
first
got a dozen
hearing.
messages a day to talk about a specific person. And I didn't ignore it, but I didn't make a video about it. And you're about to find out why.
Tell Oliver Anthony metastasize.
Things have changed. Something
Now I
I
have
expected to happen has occurred. Not exactly in the way I thought it was going to, but we're here. So we're going to talk about Oliver Anthony today. If you don't know who that is, he's a person who's been making music for a couple of years.
He hates
and
fat
recently,
people.
one of his songs, the Richmond, North of Richmond, it clicked. It resonated with a bunch of people.
Not with me.
But the authoritarian right.
I'm waiting for the Rachel Maddow version.
Like, this is our anthem type of thing.
Authoritarian. Did he say authoritarian
and that
right?
led to a whole bunch of conversation about the guy,
right?
about the music, about the with a bunch of people. But the authoritarian right.
Authoritarian right. Oh, okay.
And was like, this is our anthem type of thing.
It's an
and that led
song
to
for sure.
a whole bunch of conversation about the guy, about the music, about the lyrics, everything. And this is when the messages started coming in. When they came in, I looked into him a little bit. One of the things I found out is that some of his earlier covers and music
Brace
led
yourself.
me to believe that, well, he might not be authoritarian right. That might not be who he is.
Okay, well, that's credit.
And then I found
credit.
something where he code switched.
Ooh, that's a
He
liberal
used a customer
word.
service voice, dropped his accent a little bit. And if you don't know, there are demographics all around the country that at times will alter the way they speak, because the way they speak, the perception is that you're ignorant based on your accent or
Dadgum.
just the way you speak in general.
I'll be.
A lot of people,
I
if
do
they are
declare.
concerned about their message being understood, well, they learn how to speak without that accent.
Educate me, Bo.
And for some people, they might go years in their professional life downplaying their accent, using a non-regional accent.
Dadgum, I do that all
so
the
they
time.
can be more clearly understood.
That's how I
and so
got
they
me one of
don't
them
get
school
mistaken
teaching
for
jobs.
An extra from Justified. If you don't know that phenomenon exists, it does. And the fact that it does is one of the reasons this channel exists.
Yeah. You did
But
it, Bo.
Here's the thing about people who do that.
I can teach English good enough for Missouri.
They're never authoritarian right.
Really? What are we?
The authoritarian right, now they lean into the accent.
We lean into
They don't
it.
downplay it when they're speaking
We
in public.
say,
They play it up.
Welcome to the
Why?
South,
Because
little
it
piggy.
gives them credibility amongst us ignorant country bumpkins, I guess.
Dadgum.
So when I saw that, I didn't know what his politics were. He may not be on my team,
What is your team?
but I knew he wasn't on the team of the people who were saying that, he had created their anthem.
Okay.
So
Okay.
as far as I was concerned, not my business. Get your iTunes money, dude. I also figured that anybody who...
Let's pause this for a second, just so the stream doesn't get taken down. I'm talking over it, so it shouldn't. But it's happened before. So tell me more, Curious George.
was concerned about their message getting out and being understood, seeing their message misappropriated would eventually grate, iTunes money or not. And I figured that something would happen and it would bother him. And eventually he would release a song clarifying where he was at politically.
Called I Love Joe Biden.
I was wrong.
Kamala Harris. I love Joe Biden. Kamala Harris is great. Bo the fifth column. He's the best. He's got the politics that I, Oliver Anthony, have.
Wrong about that. Not about the whole it starting to grate, but about him releasing a song. Apparently, it appears that the catalyst was seeing his message be misappropriated in the Republican primary debates.
Ooh.
And he didn't release a song, but about an hour ago at time of filming, he released a video on YouTube in which he kind of says, hey, I wrote that song about the people on that stage. He's much more polite about it in tone. And he does.
I'm really interested to see how he focuses on this. Because it's like Tucker said. Like, it's about, like, Nikki Haley and, the people on the stage for sure. What's his name? Mike Pence. But it's about Joe Biden too, Bo. Let's see if you acknowledge that.
Clarify that it's not just the people on the stage. There's more to it than that. But it does appear that he wants it clear that he is not part of the authoritarian right. That leads to the obvious question. Well, I mean, for the people who are watching this channel, what is he, right? I don't know. I have no idea.
I haven't done
my
a
guess,
series
if
of
I had to
country
guess,
tests.
and to be clear, I don't know the guy.
I haven't pulled him behind a pickup truck. I ain't threw him in the creek. See if he floats. Oliver Anthony, are you a witch?
I know that there is a perception in a lot of YouTube that, every YouTuber who sounds like we do knows each other. That's not the case.
I do.
don't know this
Me and
guy.
Bo are hanging out
But if I had
after
to
this.
guess, he's a small government conservative. We talk about him on the channel, and most people from the city are like, those people don't really exist. No, they do. They're just normally very rural, and there's not a lot of them anymore. But that's, if I had to guess, and again, to clarify, it is a guess. That's what he is. And I know there's been a lot of conversation about some of the lyrics, particularly a part about welfare. I have been around enough small government conservatives to hear that not as welfare is bad, but the system that welfare creates in the sense of helping people isn't bad, but creating a system that makes it almost impossible to get off is. And that's generally where small government conservatives come from on it. Now, I don't know that that's his opinion of it, though. One thing that I do think is worth noting when you try to figure out where he is at, politically speaking, ideologically speaking, is that in one interview, he was talking about what it would take to fix the country. And one of the things he mentioned, and it might have been the first thing that he mentioned, was becoming a melting pot again, because diversity is one of the things that built this country. Definitely not authoritarian right. So,
here's my guess with this, because, Bo's doing okay in this video. But if he doesn't say this, he's going to lose all credibility with the conservative listeners that I think is his purpose to try to pull in and push over to Joe Biden. My guess. Because we can watch a video of this guy on Putin, which I think I will, just to make myself feel better.
I don't know where the guy aligns. Okay, no clue. He seems to be pretty religious. That may play into it. It'd be super cool if it was, biblical Jesus, not Republican Jesus, that he leaned into. But we'll have to wait and see.
Jesus is Democrat Jesus, according to
I doubt that this is going to be the last we hear from this dude. And I have a feeling like a whole lot of the people who have been really kind of championing him and putting him out there, they're probably about to turn on him.
Speed it up, Bo.
But at the same time, I don't think he cares. So we'll have to wait and see. Again, I have no idea what the guy's ideology is. I know that it was misinterpreted, and I know that he is not authoritarian right. I have no idea where he is, though. But he did not seem happy about the way his music was used. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.
Okay, I'm going to find the... Let's find this dude on Putin. Because that one I feel was a little bit of an appeal. Wasn't so bad, Bo. But here we got Bo. The discussions of a Southern journalist who is tired of a lack of common sense. Common sense. I knew it. Rule people love common sense. They love it. I love common sense. Here we go. Let's talk about Russia, Brazil, Putin, and planes. Let's see.
Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So today we are going to talk about Russia and planes and some norms and how those norms aren't always upheld. Okay, so recently, and you might have heard something about it, there have been some tensions among the upper echelons of Russian society, and they've been arguing a little bit. One of the major characters was the boss of a company called Wagner. And, well, that person and a lot of the high-ranking people within that organization, well, the plane went down. They were on a plane and it went down. It's this Brazilian-made plane, and it crashed. And there was a lot of speculation from people saying that, maybe the head of state in that country had something to do with it. Maybe the Russian head of state, Putin, actually had something to do with that. This really weird thing happened. Those within the Kremlin have said that it might have been deliberate. It might have been intentional. Certainly they will look into that, And that's not something that you would do if you were the person behind it, right? I mean, maybe this is kind of a lead up to put out information saying that it was actually a different country, perhaps one they're at war with. But see, that statement, that kind of came out after this other thing happened. It's a Brazilian plane. Brazil offered to help investigate the crash, which is kind of normal.
My guess, let's see if I'm right, bring this around to Putin did it. How are we going to... Putin did it. Brazil's offered to investigate. And Putin's like, no, we got this. Let's see if I'm right.
If the plane is from a specific country, oftentimes the international norm is to have people from the company participate and try to figure out what happened because they have the best information. They designed it, And they said that they'd be happy to do that as long as the investigation was up to international standards. Guess what Russia said? No, thank you. Not at this time. Man, if it was deliberate, you would think you.
Hey. Hot takes from Tyler McConnell. Swing and tore the leather off the ball. It's funny his name's like Bo of the Fifth Column, and I feel that he is a fifth column in rural America.
Do like a real investigation. Like he would really try to figure out what happened.
It's right in your face.
I mean, all experts would be welcomed if you were really concerned about what occurred.
Yeah, Putin.
Unless, of course, you already knew what occurred.
Yeah, just like Nord Stream, or, some of the steel from the World Trade Center was made in China. And the Chinese said, George Bush, we'd love to do an independent investigation into how that tower came down. And you know what George Bush said? He said, no thanks. We got this, China. Can you believe it?
That statement put out by Russian officials saying that it might have been deliberate, it might have been intentional. That is definitely designed to kind of make people look away from Putin. But when you pair that statement with their refusal to accept help from the people who designed the plane, I feel like it's really more of a confirmation of who was really behind it. It seems like you would want their help.
Definitely.
Seems like you would conduct the investigation up to international standards.
What could go wrong in that scenario? What could go wrong in that scenario? The CIA has never meddled in Brazil before. My sweet summer child Bo. There's two ways I can think of what you're doing. Either you're a plant for intelligence, or you somehow have the exact same politics as my friend's liberal mom. It could be the second one. But man, what a weird mix. What a weird mix. I also find the background interesting. You want to see what a real background looks like that there was no thought into? This one looks like there's no thought into it. Oh, there's a lot of thought in this one. There's a lot of thought in this background.
Because if you were going to later blame it on a different country.
You see how the YouTube awards is, it's just back here. Just something I just worked real hard and got 100,000 subscribers, and I just put it back there next to a painting of a black girl and a little husky stuffy and just some clothes that I shoved up here. Didn't really think a whole lot about it. I didn't have no other good place to put these green Rubbermaid totes. Uh-huh. I don't know. Where's the camera I'm looking for? This one. This is a real background with no thought. That's what it looks like. I can clean up this mess, or I can just hit record. Yeah. Tyler's My Kim impersonation. I did. Jenny will have to go back. I thought I did pretty good, Leo, but you've given me a hard time. It's okay. Here, you guys get a good shot. Here, the CIA helped me set this up. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. That's what a father with a music studio that's became my children's playroom that they attack every single day, and we clean it up and make it look perfect. And then within a couple hours, it looks exactly like that again. It's a lot of fun. The CIA helped me plan that just to because it helps me hack into the minds of other people that have children with messy rooms. It's all a big part of my plan. But I was thinking about that today. I was thinking about, really the only way to know if you can make any difference in the world and every single other person you know is not just a CIA plant, is to try to do it yourself and see if it works. It's like solipsism for politics, I'm going to get on there and put my politics out there and see if I become a CIA agent just by proxy somehow. I don't know. And then I'll know, okay, yes, everyone is. Everyone's glowing. Everyone's glowing. Except for me. Huh. It does. A family does live here. It's fun. I want to stream more. But I like to be close to my family. They're usually in the other room. Sometimes I go downstairs. You guys will see me downstairs, but downstairs is so lonely. I like to be around my family. It makes me happy. But there's a lot more crying and screaming. There's a lot more videos of dolls and people very animatedly playing video games. So let's find another video to go over. What else did I title this stream? Let's see. What else do I want to have in here? I'm going to read the BRICS thing. I don't think I'm going to read a whole lot of it. Richmond by Anthony. Hot war with Russia. Trump assassination. And then BRICS. So maybe I'll do the BRICS one. That was my other one I promised y'all. I did find some, when I was looking for this William Bloom quote, I found some other good quotes from this guy. I don't know if this guy's a communist, but sure seems like it. Okay. Where is it at? Here it is. This is the one I was thinking of. Can I just click this back on like that? Yes. After World War II, the United States, triumphant abroad and undamaged at home, saw a door wide open for world supremacy. Only the thing called communism stood in the way. Politically, militarily, economically, and ideologically.
William Bloom. William Bloom. Interesting. That's a good quote, isn't it? I thought so. I'm back up. Yeah. I've heard the Jay Dyer take is that the Soviet Union was all part of the plan as well. It was that's one of the most infuriating conspiracies. That there's a Wall Street plot. That's a fun one. Hey, Caleb's here. Caleb's discussed it before. I thought you were streaming tonight, buddy, but I double checked to make sure before I came on here. I never try to stream when you're streaming because you're the OG, you know. You're the real deal with Bill McNeil. I'm just piddling tonight. I think I am gonna catch up on my letter to Bob Avakian. Peter Coffin interviews Caleb Maupin. Way to go. You got one set up, brother. Right there. You guys see my history. It's all like politics and Paw Patrol. It's because I'm a fake CIA agent. I just watch Paw Patrol to, you know, put in myself with the masses. Lower and deeper to the real masses who watch Paw Patrol. That's what I like to do. Lower and deeper to the real masses who watch Paw Patrol. All right, let's find Mr. Rossi. I haven't watched this one. Let's put this up here. There it is. Michael Rossi is a fantastic. I love what he does. He's a Rutgers professor, and he finds the raw Russian video, and he adds the subtitles. He's like, that's what I love as a journalist. Is I want the source documents. You know what I mean? I want the real deal. I want to get straight to it, and Michael helps me out with that. So I do want to give Michael a tip, though. He's got his Facebook link #1. You should really put that Patreon up first, Michael. There's Michael's Patreon, if anybody likes him. I always try to help everybody else out. $217 a month. Well, maybe you can help me out until we're at parity, Michael. You know. But nah, I mean, help Michael. He's a good guy. He's smart. He's only got one tier. $5. Keep it simple. All right. I'm going to do this and then I'm going to cut it out. Make a separate video out of it. The one that pops out the most to me, Vladimir Putin discusses de-dollarization and global economy at BRICS. Let's watch this. Let's go back to the beginning. Make sure I'm at 1. I am. Full screen. All right, let's try it. Let's see how it goes. Let's take me off here. This will be better for the cut. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Yes, Jenny. He's fantastic.
Уважаемый президент Рамафоза,
Esteemed President Ramaphosa, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends,
рад приветствовать представителей государственных структур, бизнеса, экспертов и отраслевых специалистов.
I gotta do it again. I haven't done this in a while. It's way too loud if you do it like that, so you gotta turn it down. All right, let's start over. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Esteemed President Ramaphosa, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I am pleased to greet representatives of government institutions, business specialists, and industry experts who have gathered for this meeting of the BRICS Business Forum. I would like to note that holding such business forums on a regular basis, along with the systemic work of the BRICS Business Council, which brings together top businessmen and heads of major companies of the 5 countries, plays an immense practical role in promoting mutual trade and investments, enhancing cooperation ties, and expanding direct dialogue among the business communities, and thus effectively contributes to accelerated socioeconomic growth of our states and achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. It is important that this forum focuses on such pressing issues as the post-pandemic economic recovery of the BRICS states, improvement of citizens' well-being, industrial modernization, development of effective transport and logistics chains, and stimulation of equitable technology transfers. These challenging and complex tasks need to be tackled against the backdrop of the increasing volatility in stock, currency, energy, and food markets, coupled with substantial inflationary pressure stemming from, inter alia, the irresponsible large-scale money creation by a number of countries seeking to mitigate the effects of the pandemic, which has led to the accumulation of private and public debt. The global economic situation is also seriously affected by the illegitimate sanctions practice and illegal freezing of assets of sovereign states, which essentially amounts to the trampling upon all the basic norms and rules of free trade and economic life. Norms and rules that not so long ago seemed immutable. Shortage of resources, growing inequality, rising unemployment, and aggravation of other chronic problems in the global economy are the direct consequences of this. Prices for food, basic agricultural products, and crops are forced up, making the most vulnerable, poor countries suffer the most. Importantly, under these circumstances, the BRICS states have stepped up their interaction, and our joint work to ensure economic growth and sustainable development brings concrete, tangible results. More and more new infrastructure and investment projects are being launched. Mutual trade is growing, industry contacts expanding. The main thing is that our cooperation is based on the principles of equality, partner support, and respect for each other's interests. And that is what lies at the core of our association's forward-looking strategic course, the course that reflects the aspirations of most of the world's community, the so-called global majority. The figures speak for themselves. Over the last decade, mutual investments among the BRICS countries have increased 6-fold. Their overall investments in global economy have doubled, and their total exports have reached 20% of the world exports. As for Russia, the trade volume with our BRICS partners has increased by 40.5%, reaching a record of over $230 billion US dollars. In the first half of this year, it grew by 35.6% compared with the same period in 2022 and constituted $134.7 billion US dollars. I would also like to point out that the share of the BRICS countries, with their population totaling more than 3 billion, now accounts for nearly 26% of the global GDP. Our 5 countries are ahead of the G7 in terms of purchasing power parity. The forecast for 2023 is 31.5% against 30%. The objective and irreversible process of the de-dollarization of our economic ties is gaining pace.
We are working to fine-tune effective mechanisms for mutual settlements and monetary and fiscal control. As a result, the share of U.S. dollar in export and import operations within BRICS is declining. Last year, it stood at only 28.7%. Incidentally, during this summit, we will discuss in detail the entire range of issues related to the transition to national currencies in all areas of economic cooperation between our 5 nations. The BRICS New Development Bank, which has already become a credible alternative to existing Western development institutions, has a great role to play in these efforts. It is only natural that enhancing connectivity and creating new sustainable traffic arteries have become a shared priority in cooperation between our 5 countries. In this context, the BRICS Business Council's initiative to work out modern intermodal logistics solutions and develop railway transport corridors is of particular importance. For its part, Russia actively works to redirect its traffic and logistics flows to reliable foreign partners, including in the BRICS states. Our flagship projects include the Northern Sea Route and the new International North-South Transport Corridor. These 2 major transport arteries aim to provide the shortest and most cost-effective trade routes to link major industrial, agricultural, and energy hubs with consumer markets. With regard to the Northern Sea Route, I would like to emphasize that Russia has already adopted and launched a large-scale, multi-year plan to develop its infrastructure. We intend to build fuel terminals, hub ports to ensure connections with road and rail transport. The ice-breaking fleet is being expanded, first of all by commissioning nuclear-powered vessels that have no analogs in the world. As for the North-South Transport Corridor, it will connect Russian ports on the Arctic Seas and the Baltic Sea with offshore terminals in the Persian Gulf and Indian Ocean, thereby providing opportunities to increase cargo transportation between Eurasian and African countries. Besides, this will certainly give impetus to developing new industrial, trade, and logistics facilities along the route. Russia stands for greater cooperation within BRICS as regards reliable and uninterrupted supplies of energy and food resources to the world markets. We are consistently increasing supplies of fuel, agricultural products, and fertilizers to countries in the global south, making a significant contribution to strengthening global food and energy security, addressing acute humanitarian issues, and fighting hunger and poverty in countries in need. All these issues, in particular, were discussed in depth at the recent Russia-Africa summit. For example, last year, trade in agricultural products between Russia and African states grew by 10% and amounted to $6.7 billion US. And in January-June this year, it increased by another record 60%. Our country is and will remain a responsible supplier of food to the African continent. Russian grain exports to Africa amounted to 11.5 million tons in 2022 and almost 10 million tons in the first 6 months of 2023. This is despite the unlawful sanctions imposed on us that seriously hinder the export of Russian food products and complicate transport logistics, insurance, and bank payments. Russia is being deliberately obstructed in the supply of grain and fertilizers abroad, and at the same time, we are hypocritically blamed for the current crisis situation on the world market.
This has been clearly seen in the implementation of the so-called grain deal, concluded with the participation of the UN Secretariat and initially aimed at ensuring global food security, reducing the threat of hunger, and providing aid to the poorest countries. We have repeatedly drawn attention to the fact that in a year under the deal, a total of 32.8 million tons of cargo has been exported from Ukraine, of which over 70% have reached high and upper middle income countries, including the European Union, and only about 3% have gone to the least developed countries, that is, less than 1 million tons. None of the terms of the so-called deal concerning the lifting of sanctions imposed on Russian exports of grain and fertilizers to world markets have been fulfilled. Obligations to Russia in this regard have been simply ignored. Even our free transfer of mineral fertilizers blocked in European ports has been obstructed. In fact, this is a purely humanitarian campaign that should not, in principle, be subject to any sanctions. With these facts in mind, since July 18th, we have refused to further extend the so-called deal, and we will be ready to get back to it, but only if all obligations to the Russian side are actually fulfilled. I have repeatedly said that our country has the capacity to replace Ukrainian grain, both commercially and as free aid to needy countries, especially since our harvest is again expected to be perfect this year. As a first step, we have decided to gratuitously provide 6 African countries with 25 to 50,000 tons of grain, each with free delivery of these cargoes. Negotiations with partners are being completed. Among the priority areas of interaction, we also see further coordination of approaches of the BRICS members on the subject of supporting small and medium-sized enterprises. This is an important part of the overall economic agenda of the Group of Five, which implies assistance to the widest circles of citizens engaged in business activity as regards administrative and tax regulation, digitalization, e-commerce, and participation in the value chains. I would note that thanks to the state support programs, the entrepreneurs from the BRICS countries successfully adapt to the constantly changing situation in the global markets. They find new partners and new sales channels, attract additional funding, and use more actively modern technologies. It is equally important to continue developing cooperation within BRICS in terms of decarbonizing the economy, reducing human impact on nature, and adapting to the changing climate. Russia is ready to work jointly to promote more balanced approaches to the climate change in the international arena. Our country is consistently implementing the National Low Carbon Development Strategy. We plan to reach carbon neutrality of the Russian economy not later than 2060, including through the introduction of technological innovations, modernization of infrastructure for access to affordable and clean energy, conservation of ecosystems on land and sea. We understand that the implementation of the climate goals can be facilitated by a variety of technologies, including those that have been in use for a long time already, such as nuclear generation, hydropower, and gas motor fuel. To sum it up, I would like to reiterate that the multifaceted partnership and cooperation within the BRICS not only makes a significant contribution to ensuring the sustainable growth of our states, but also generally promotes global economic recovery and successful achievement of global development goals and targets set by the United Nations to fight poverty, expand people's access to quality health care, eradicate hunger, and improve food security. Therefore, I am confident that the BRICS Business Forum and Business Council will continue their creative work aimed at expanding
contacts between the business circles of the Group of 5 countries and jointly implementing new mutually beneficial projects. In conclusion, I would like to invite representatives of your country's business circles to attend the Eastern Economic Forum in Russia that will take place on September 10th to the 13th in the city of Vladivostok, where, by tradition, the discussions will focus on issues that are also of interest to the business communities of the BRICS countries. Thank you for your attention. Woo! We did it. All right, let's see how I turn this off. This one. I'm back. I'm back. Fast free delivery, serving man, definitely a cookbook. It's pretty good will, man. If you got extra grain, that's the thing to do with it. Give it to some African countries under the yoke of neo-colonial imperialism. Show up the West and, get some goodwill on those future rare earth minerals that you need. Smart stuff. I did that one. We're doing 2 hours tonight. We're at 1 hour and 36 minutes. I really want to watch this other one by Lavrov, but it's too long. It's probably where all the money is. Sergey Lavrov press conference at BRICS Summit. I'll do that one later. Going back, I listened to this morning. Let's see if I can find it amongst all the Paw Patrol and Peppa Pig videos. My videos go. Super Mario Party. Mall. Elsa and Anna toddlers go shopping. The odds are on nuclear war. That's funny. Let's click on the odds are on nuclear war. Come on, George. Did you give us timestamps? I bet you did not. No. Let's listen to this. I like this one. Talking about if Trump will be any different the second time around. See what this guy says. This was like noteworthy. I remembered it. My son still watches Peppa Pig. He's 7. I love Peppa Pig. Peppa Pig World. You know what? You just bought Peppa Pig World by Boris Johnson. I'm Daddy Pig. My daughter goes, "Stop that." I'm Daddy Pig. If I ever get internet famous, we'll certainly clip that. I'm Daddy Pig. I got to go to work on a little tricycle today because I can't break the spider web. Daddy, you promised you wouldn't break the spider web. I'll ride your bike, Peppa. I'm too big for this bike. Boris Johnson praises Peppa Pig World. Boris Johnson says Peppa Pig World, very much my kind of place. I know you kept the war in Ukraine going, but I gotta weigh it, Boris. I gotta weigh your love for Peppa Pig against your bloodthirsty imperial madness. The scales. I don't know. Let's do the China one. I feel like they're the least likely to give me a copyright strike. Singapore.
Forgive me.
Forgive me.
Forgive me. Forgive me. People will have the confidence to stay nearer the place they grew up, to start business.
Secure more funding, which is available.
And Tony, yesterday I went, as we all must, to Peppa Pig World. I don't know if you've been to Peppa Pig World. Who's been to? Hands up anyone who's been to Peppa Pig World. Not enough.
Yeah, not enough.
I was a bit hazy what I would find at Peppa Pig World, but I loved it. And Peppa Pig World is very much my kind of place. It has very safe streets, discipline in schools.
There's no discipline.
Heavy emphasis on new mass transit systems, I notice, even if they're a bit stereotypical about Daddy Pig. But the real lesson for me, going to Peppa Pig World, and I'm surprised you haven't been there, was about the power of UK creativity. Who would have believed, Tony, that a pig that looks like a hairdryer, or possibly a sort of Picasso-like hairdryer, a pig that was rejected by the BBC, would now be exported to 180 countries with theme parks both in America and in China, as well as in the New Forest, and a business that's worth at least £6 billion to this country, £6 billion and counting. Now, I think that is pure genius, don't you, Peppa Pig? And no government in the world, no Whitehall civil servant would conceivably have come up with Peppa. So my final message to you, as we stand on the brink of this green industrial revolution, and we prepare to use our new regulatory freedoms in what I believe will be a very strong post-COVID rebound. We are blessed. We are blessed not just with capital markets and the world's best universities and
we're blessed with
pools of liquidity in London and the right time zone and the right language and opportunity across the whole country. How long does he go on about this? We're also blessed with the amazing inventive power and range of British business.
Okay. Let's find a good little, for you guys that don't have kids, you don't know what Peppa Pig is. God help you. Peppa Pig, Spiderweb. That's the one I remember. Spiderweb? Okay, where is it? Where Daddy Pig has to ride the little bike. Here's the part I remember. Daddy Pig has to ride the little bike. This is where Boris's mind is at.
What is Mr. Skinny Legs? Bye-bye, everyone. See you tonight.
Stop, Daddy.
What is it?
You cannot drive the car today.
Why not?
Look.
Mr. Skinny Legs has built a web.
Don't do it, Daddy
car
Pig.
To the house.
Daddy,
think of the spider children.
You must never, ever break a web.
That's
Did
right.
I?
Yes, Daddy Pig. If you move the car, you will break the web.
But how am I going to get to work?
I've got an
Don't
idea.
worry, Daddy. You can borrow my little bicycle. Here you are.
Thank you, Peppa.
Daddy Pig is riding Peppa's little bicycle.
Have a nice ride to work.
I will, Peppa. Bye.
Bye.
Daddy Pig works very hard. But Mr. Skinny Legs works even harder.
Daddy Pig could have had a coronary for those children. And then who'd be bringing home the bacon? Nobody. You know who brings home the bacon in Daddy Pig's house? Daddy Pig himself. Every time he comes home. Did he survive the bike ride? I didn't mean to leave you on a cliff note. Oh, that's the credits. Credits. We don't know if he survived. It's a suspenseful show. You have to tune in next week. Peppa Pig World. I'll show you guys. Let me see where it's at. Oh. It went to the top. This is a pretty accurate representation of my YouTube history here. You've got did the Ukraine conflict cause the West African revolution? Ukraine running out of ammo. 2 Proud Boys sentenced for Capitol attack. A return of COVID tyranny. The secret of the ages. Keeps me going. Peter Coffin would like my self-help literature. And then we get into Elsa and Anna, toddlers go shopping. Santa gift tree decorations. Quality stuff. But it was buried right here. The odds are on nuclear war.
And I'm very grateful.
Interesting mix in my house. So here's George talking about whether Trump will be any different second time around. Second time, step by step, day by day. Let's start over, different hands of play. People we go to everything, get better, second time around. I'm in my grandma's house and I'm 11, watching Step by Step reruns. All right, let's see.
Indeed for your time. I can't tell you how grateful.
It's good to be on with you.
So this is Lieutenant Colonel. Let me take me out of here real quick. Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaffer, retired Department of Defense intel operative and political commentator. I liked what he had to say. I don't think I ever listened to him before.
I appreciate it.
Thanks. The likelihood is, unless they put him in jail, unless he gets blown away, Donald Trump will be the next president of the United States. Last time he ran on the platform of draining the swamp, but he didn't drain the swamp. In fact, he plucked some of the prime specimens from the swamp, John Bolton, for example, and placed them right at his right hand, around the table with him. Would a second President Trump term be any different, do you think?
So I did an actual talk on this issue over the weekend down in Florida, and I talk about this all the time. And I get this question from my talks: Will he perform differently? The answer is he has to, or else he's doomed. I advised. I was on the transition team. My job, George, was to be the go-between between Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Joe Dunford, and Mark Milley, and Mike Flynn. I was working the transition issues there because I was working to advise the Pentagon at the time. And what I learned during that time is that Trump seemed to think of government as a business, like, hey, I acquired the government, it's my business now. And then I believe, I haven't talked to him about this, but I do believe Trump thought, oh, okay, I can delegate things down to people and they'll figure it out. And it's like a business. It wasn't like a business. And what he mistakenly did not defend Mike Flynn. I think that was a huge mistake. Mike knew where all the bodies were buried. I think he would have seen the Russia collusion narrative coming. That's why they had to get him out. And he appointed people like Rance Priebus, Reince Priebus saw me in the White House one time, George, and it was like he saw Satan himself. I mean, he was just pissed that I was there because I'm not establishment. I don't want to become part of it. I don't want to be in their club. And I've never hidden that. And the fact that I was there meeting to advise just visibly upset him. And it was Reince Priebus's, John Bolton's, General, what's his name? The guy that came in after Mike Flynn. I'll think of his name in a second. Huh?
Petraeus? No.
McMaster. All these folks came in to establish a path back. Now, one other quick note on this. I actually, during this time, wanted to do a full review. And after it was
This is interesting. This is an interesting part. You want to do a full review, I think, of the FBI with the Army, is what he says. So he was on the transition team. I don't know, into Trump or out of Trump. I'm not sure which one, but
announced that Trump was spied on, George. I went to my folks. I said, look, we need to get into the FBI. I think the FBI is corrupt. I think they're using their foreign counterintelligence program as a domestic tool to go after political enemies. So let's go look at what they're doing. I proposed that we have a peer review, that we have Army intelligence, which Army does have parallel authorities within the United States, believe it or not, to do foreign counterintelligence. So I had selected, without them knowing, the people on this list never knew. I said, let's have this team go in and do an independent case review of all the FBI stuff. So I first go to talk to Mike Pompeo, and Mike says, I'm fine with that. It's probably wise. He was director of CIA at the time, but you got to go talk to John Kelly. John Kelly, who was chief of staff, who could authorize it. And he said, and so I go to the Pentagon next, and I talk to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Joe Dunford. I said, Joe, look, I think there's something more going on here. We should have Army come in and do a review of FBI. He says, I will support that, but the president's got to direct it because we DOD just can't go look at FBI stuff in DOJ. So I went to John Kelly, caught him at an event, and I explained to John Kelly, chief of staff of the White House of the president. I said, John, and I knew John. John runs in the Marine Corps in the Al Gray Mafia. I've advised them. I've been part of it for decades. And I said, look, John, we need to have the Army come in and do a review of the FBI. I need to talk to the president about getting authorization. You know what Kelly told me, George? He looked me square in the eye. He said, Tony, I am never going to allow you to talk to the president because all you're going to do is inflame his instincts.
I love George Galloway. His response is the same as mine. Fellow ENFP George Galloway. That's what we want, right? Because his instincts are correct, right?
So,
well, his instincts were the right instincts.
Bingo!
That's for sure.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so that's my point. Trump made the mistake of surrounding himself with people who were trying to isolate him, and he was isolated with very few exceptions. So he's got to have learned from that. And plus, he didn't appoint people at the operational level because in the end, his own Homeland Security service was working against him to suppress his ability or his supporters' ability to speak out in his support during the 2020 election. Think about that. His own federal government was working against him. So, and then the other thing, he never got control of spending. He never defunded the bureaucracy. You and I know, George, from your experience in Parliament, my experience dealing with all sorts of folks here, if you defund an organization, you take the wind out of their sails. He would not do it. He would not defund actual organizations within the government that were working against him. So
that's sus.
If he
Trump.
He has to have learned these lessons that we're talking about. Because if he did not learn these lessons,
Among Us,
he's going to end up, they're going to finally get him on something and put him in jail. Otherwise, he's got to get control of these things. He's got to stop this abuse. A lot of us have ideas on how to do it. And and I do believe he's going to win. But yes, George, he's got to learn from these mistakes and take a completely different course when he comes in if he really wants to drain the swamp, because he did not do it last time.
All right. That's all our videos for today. I think that'll be good. CIA wouldn't allow it. Yeah. So who's really in charge, you know? Like I was talking with my wife earlier. It's horrible to think about. But maybe the only way Trump would be proved as real is a JFK type scenario. I don't wish it. I don't want my cynical self to win. I don't know who would win in that one. My cynical self? My realist self? I don't know. I do like that that's where Marxism has came in my life. It's like, I always felt like somebody else was in charge of this. Something else is going on behind the scenes. But it forces me to try to come up with some rational explanation. And they're not all powerful. Hey, Sherry. Welcome. It's good to see everybody here. Bunch of the Caleb crew. So warms my heart. You guys stopped by. Old Sea Dog himself dropped in to say hello. But I will say, this is a funny story. The librarian at the high school is one of my friends. And he says, every time a kid comes in and goes, do you have any Karl Marx? Do you have the Communist Manifesto? He always goes, you've been talking to McConnell, haven't you? Not me. Mm-mm. But he says they always open the book. David Smith, DFS on Top's in the building. They always open the book. They open the Communist Manifesto, expecting like the Satanic Bible. They open it slowly, with fear and trembling, and then they start reading boring-ass economic lingo from the 19th century, and then they're like very confused. I thought it was the Satanic Bible. I don't... Not all of them. It's fun to live in a very like economically challenged area because everybody gets it in their bones when you explain. When you explain the Walmart that half of us work at has sucked up all the major businesses and it's controlled. I showed the kids today, I was like, well, let's see. We were watching The Corporation and Film Studies, and I was explaining how a corporation works, and none of them have any idea. So I'm explaining, like, the board of directors, and I'm like, how do you get on the board of directors, right? Well, you need to be a majority share owner. So what's the market cap of Walmart? $480 billion. So all I need to rearrange the board of Walmart and help small business come back to Salem is I need to come up with $240 billion. Let's see, I make about, let's add that $5,000 raise I'll get if I work an extra 100 hours of tutoring. Say I make 41 grand a year. 240 billion divided by 41,000. I only have to work like 5 million years. And then I can fix this Walmart problem with my money. What grade do I teach? I teach high school. I teach 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. But then I compared to the school and I was like, here, this is a public institution. It's different than private, right? Instead of coming up with $240 billion, we can just go to door and knock and ask people to vote for someone different on the school board, which will make decisions. A little more possible. Could it still go wrong? Absolutely. But at least you get the chance to vote for somebody. You're not going to vote for the board of Walmart. So, on that note, I got about 1 minute left to fulfill my 2-hour stream. I hate asking for money. Everybody on the internet does, though. It's one of those things. I bet they love you. I hope they do, Jamie. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't. They kind of razz me with old Leo. Like old Leo. I think Leo's in high school. Maybe. I don't know. Playing I sound like Kanye without auto-tune. I thought I did okay. It was okay. I'm glad I gave it a shot. The old Oliver Anthony song on the guitar. They razzed me, but that's high school. You know, it's fun. I did the same thing. What else was I thinking? Yeah, I got Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee. It's all in the description. I will say, it's funny, because I try really hard. If Caleb's still listening, I try really hard to retain my Christian values and not talk crap about anybody on the internet. I did kind of talk crap about Bo tonight being a CIA agent. And Bo, I love you. Jesus loves you. It's just in the realm of politics, man. I mean, you're free to call me out if you think I did something dumb. That's the only way we can move forward. But it's not that I don't love you or want the best for you. I just think you might be an asset. Or maybe even a useful idiot. You probably think I am one for the Ruskies. I think you are one for the oil bankers and the Democratic Party. But I still love you, and I wish the best for you. I hope you have a happy life. So with that in mind, it's like, what's his name? Danny Haifong. I still like to listen to Danny Haifong. I learn a lot. He's got great interviews. Yeah, I don't know how to do that, Jamie. It's easier to do that on StreamYard. On OBS, it's like very like blocky. It's like everything. You can do anything with this program, so like simple things are complicated. Whereas on StreamYard, it's more limited, but it's easier to do things like that. I'll look into it. Anyway, we're piecing together the dollar. It really don't. That's why that Oliver Anthony song's hitting so hard, because the dollar does not go as far as it used to. I'm running out of money from my paycheck like halfway through the month, it seems like. And I've been having to dip into savings like $500 a month just to live however I was living before, which is not entirely high on the hog by any means. You know, it's like the girls can have a Happy Meal once a week, or stay stocked in apple juice and cinnamon toast waffles. But then I see Danny Haifong ask for money and then be like, I'd really like to upgrade my technology. I just got back from China and I would really like to go to Japan and Europe and Africa and Antarctica and the moon with Elon. And I could really use your help. I don't fault you, man, for asking. I mean, it's all part of the gig, but really? It's always a crisis. We all got crisis. I just hate that it's like reduced to this, you know? We all want the Joe Rogan FU money. Right, Ginny? Yeah. Hey, Ginny, help me upgrade my technology. Help me hire someone to clean my kid's room. It's really bothering me. Help me get a wage slave in here. As a communist. Need one. Subscribe. Become a Patreon member. It always feels so gross. It feels so gross. But I was in Walmart and I was trying to figure out, I had to buy some medicine at the pharmacy. And then I just got paid from one weekend I worked at Walmart. So I had $258 from my Walmart paycheck. And that was kind of a godsend because I got that yesterday. Yeah, Jenny, don't worry about it. Take care of yourself, my friend. That's what this whole thing is. Like, take care of yourself. We're all hard up. I mean, come on, you know. But that's the story. So I had to buy medicine. I had to buy apple juice. And I splurged on the apple juice because I could get the big container. But I feel bad. I know I misspent money somewhere else. So I got organic apple juice for my 3-year-old. She's living high on the hog. So that was an extra like $2. And then I got 1 pack of diapers because she's potty training. So we kind of stretched that. And then I had to refill our water. And I need laundry detergent. I was back by the laundry detergent. And I was my cart, I like ran into another guy. Like he was like 60, had a beard, kind of youthful demeanor. And I go, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I'm right in your way." I think I was texting or looking up something on my phone. He goes, "That's okay, son. I can't afford any of this stuff anyways." And I go, "Man, I get it. I'm on here like adding up numbers, like trying to figure out if it'll work, if I can swing it. It's got to be under 41. So I get up to the front counter and I think it was 43, but I had my 10% Walmart discount card, which I don't get another shift until literally New Year's Eve. They've got me working New Year's Eve. There's some hours available on New Year's Eve. No, on Christmas Eve. That's what it was. So I'm working Christmas Eve. No hours until then. I'm telling you guys, that economy is looking swell. Swell. 2 years ago, a couple summers ago, I was in the summer and I was a part-time employee and they were giving me like 60 hours. So I was making overtime, but we're all dipping into savings, and it's pretty clear from like my own life and the fact you run into random people in the detergent aisle and they're like, "I don't have any money either, man." It's draining. I mean, you can feel the whole American economy is about to hit the limit of debt. There's no more credit cards. You ain't getting no more hours at your third job. We're about to hit it. So we can either take Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and crew can take a good long look in the mirror, realize we've put 50 years of America on the credit card, and try to start over. Or they can print money like crazy in an election year. Which do you think they're going to do? Dollar Tree. Absolutely, Gabby. That's the only hope is a Dollar Tree. I told the kids that's the only place in town that could start a business right next to Walmart and have a snowball's chance in hell of surviving. Dollar Tree's doing pretty good. It is going to $1.25, $1.50, $1.75, $2. Anyway, see, after that whole story, it's like asking for money just seems ridiculous. I did I made them and put them there, and I was like, maybe some angel that's comfy, has plenty of money, can help out. But I don't like to ask. It feels gross because everybody's so hard up, you know? But then it's like, I don't know. Is it because if you're raised poor, you just kind of feel like that? I feel like for me, it was a mix of that and like being raised in like a Baptist church. I've had to kind of work through that in my own life as like being okay with money, with having money. Because as soon as I get it, there has been times where I've had a little bit of money and I start to feel guilty, and it's weird. I have a weird relationship with money that I'm trying to work out. And maybe I'll work it out a little bit more on a spiritual stream, which I want to get back in the habit of doing. My goal is to do one of these every day. It's just the details. I get caught up in the details. I will say I am glad that through Caleb and other people in our CPI crew, I learned that money is not evil. Money's great. As Deng Xiaoping said, to be rich is glorious. And I hope all you guys get rich as well. I will say one last story. I've been teaching the kids about Thomas Paine. I always start in English 3 with Thomas Paine. And we were watching a little documentary about Thomas Paine, which is fantastic, but someone snuck in stuff about Ukraine in there. It's very weird. Because other than that, the documentary is fantastic. But I did have one kid, he asked me, he's like, well, Thomas Paine did a revolution? Like, how would you do that? How would you do that? Like, there's so much that needs to change. How would we fix it? And I was able to tell him in a way that I never really understood before that it's by organizing. And I'd hear people say organize, and I didn't really know what that meant. But now I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on what that means. It means you organize a parallel government. You organize, and then I'm able to show them, like, well, that's what Ben Franklin and Thomas Jefferson and Thomas Paine, they had a government in the waiting. They were ready to take power. Otherwise, you just get a George Floyd riot with it, nothing comes after it. So you have to organize. You have to organize local chapters. And then you can federate up into like a bigger organization, maybe even a political party. And then once everybody's organized and on the same page, people working together to get a better world, better country, you can really make things happen. And I was proud of myself that I could explain that and really know that that's true now. Really know. And that goes back to this thumbnail. You know, what Dr. Shiva said. Is Trump just a way that to distract the white working class on the right? Was Bernie just a sheepdog to distract the working class on the left? What did he build out of his giant email list? Nothing. Nothing. It'd be interesting to see. And I think you all know the answer. If it wasn't about Trump, would he continue building a working class organization to challenge power? Come on. I think you know the answer to that. But that being said, we've went 2 hours and 12 minutes. So I love y'all. I'm going to go have breakfast with my good friend. It was on my first Strange Bedfellows episode with Lori, Bill Stack. He's doing a men's prayer breakfast in the morning. So I'm going to hit the sack. I think the kids are passed out. Take them back to bed. Get some shut-eye. And I'll see you guys next time. We're going to get back more in the stream of the streams. We won't cross the streams. But we'll get back into streaming way more often. We won't let YouTube throwing us off the routine, because I was on a streak back then. I was months, days. It was good. We won't let them throw us off. The working class movement is too important. And I got to do my little part on here just to make sure that literally every other person I know, including Jesus, is not a CIA agent. And the only way I can figure that out is to get on here and try myself. I love y'all. Good night. I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Peace! You will not be able to reconnect.